No, they talking crazy about you. They said
brother,
they
brother,
smash you.
who cares? Who cares, brother? Who cares, brother? Who cares? Today, smash.
After the surprising call-out issued by none other than Ilia Topuria, Khabib Nurmagomedov has responded with an equally vicious response of his own, clarifying that no matter their opponent, they are fully prepared to smash them. Looking back at what started this entire drama, Ilia Topuria, who recently decided to move to the lightweight division, made his intentions abundantly clear, stating that at this stage in his career, he is after the elite fighters and Khabib tends to be on the top of that list.
ჩემი საოცნებო მეტოქევი აი ვისაც აი გულით გინდა რომ ერთხელ დაუბრუნდე დიდი სიამოვნებით.
According to the fighter, he wants a bigger and more worthy challenger who is not only hailed as one of the best fighters that the sport has ever generated, but due to his immaculate undefeated record and exceptional sportsmanship, there is no one else who is a better adversary than him.
რატომ მასთან? ცხებელი რეკორდი აქვს 29-0-ზე და ატრაქტიული რეკორდი აქვს ჩემთვის.
Supporting his fighter's decision, Ilia Topuria's manager offered a statement emphasizing that after the remarkable performance his fighter has displayed in the last couple of fights, which has outshined many lightweight champions, there is no solid reason that he should not be allowed to have an opportunity to compete at the 155-pound division.
You know, I don't really come on here that much anymore. I kind of like stay to myself, but when certain managers come out there and talk about a guy's too small, shouldn't move up, needs to fight someone else, let's make sure we just get the facts straight. He knocked out Volk in his first opportunity to knock him out. The fight wasn't close. When your client fought Volk, he struggled with him the first time. Don't forget that. Second, he knocks him out, and then he knocks out Max Holloway, who happens to be probably one of the greatest 45ers of all time. I'm not sure why he doesn't deserve a shot at 155. But I don't blame you. I wouldn't want my client to fight Ilia Topuria either.
Moving on, amid this dream challenge that has been proposed by Ilia and seemingly accepted by Khabib, there is still some unfinished business that the Georgian fighter has to resolve before he can dream of taking down the GOAT of the division. Talking about the much anticipated fight that Ilia will participate in after his move to 155 is a battle with none other than the pound-for-pound king Islam Makhachev, whom he has called out various times and has admitted to being one of the best fighters that he can face at this stage in his career if he ever wants to be taken seriously at the 155-pound division. Aiming to become world champion in 2 weight classes, Ilia emphasized that if he is given this opportunity, then he will prove to the world that he has what it takes to bring down one of the most ferocious fighters of this era.
So if they tell me that they want me to keep defending the belt in the 145 division, maybe I will do that. But if they let me go up in 155, I will do that also. Really very glad. What I want to do is to move up to the 155 because I know by fact that I can become a 2-weight world champion. Because Islam, he's a great fighter. He's the #1 pound for pound for the people, for me. It's me, myself. I'm the best fighter in the world. So I know that I can do with him whatever I want to do because I know that I'm much better than him.
Sharing his thoughts on what this fight will look like, Ilia called out Islam and his fellow Dagestani fighters as nothing but brutes who seem to lack a certain control or finesse that many other fighters in the sport have. Adding on, Ilia stated that even though these fighters can be quite lethal when they seem to have an upper hand in the fight, under different conditions, especially when the opponent is able to deter them in the start, these tactics fail and they lose their composure altogether, which further goes on to show that they have no technical skills which might aid them in surviving through a highly competitive fight.
If you see fighting any of them, the thing they need when they go inside the octagon, in the first contact, they want to feel that they dominate you and they start to build a confidence since that. But if they feel in the first contact, in the first round, but that they can control you, that it's very competitive, they head goes down. All the competitive fights, they lose.
After these sentiments shared by Ilia reached mainstream media, a wave started where people started to speculate who will be the fighter that would take on Ilia, and will Islam ever accept this fight offer, because deep down there was nothing substantial that he might gain from it. Seemingly sharing the same narrative as many other Express and Die-Hard fans, Khabib explained that even though he has no particular issue with Ilia coming up to the lightweight division and calling out various noteworthy challengers in hopes of cementing cementing his position here. For him to make this leap and to expect that he will get the fight with one of the biggest contenders in the division is quite absurd, and goes on to show the level of entitlement that the Georgian fighter possesses.
Ilia Topuria. He said, you know what, I want to go up to 155 pounds, fight the #1 contender, and then if he wins that, then he fights Islam. I think that's good, brother. I think he deserves.
I think if he move up and he beat somebody like Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira.
Now, the focal aspect that Khabib tried to highlight was that after the controversial fights that Islam had with Alexander Volkanovski under somewhat the same conditions as this recent fight with Ilia, where Alexander was the one making the weight jump, no one really gave any credit to Islam for the fight, despite the fact that it was a tremendous performance. Khabib then went on to defend his fighters, stating that for quite some time, Islam has been transformed into a scapegoat for smaller fighters whenever they want to enter the lightweight division and want a bigger name to fight, which is not a good thing for Islam, who is on his path to greatness. Hoping to avoid this particular situation again, Khabib emphasized that if Ilia really wants to prove himself as a good contender, then he should first get familiar with the division by taking on some other opponents like Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira before he can think about entering the ring with Islam. Moreover, Islam seems to be on the same page as his mentor, emphasizing that even though he respects Ilia as a fighter and would not mind entering the ring against him, in this day and age, after everything that he has faced in the last couple of years following his fights with smaller fighters, he does not wish to have a repeat of that situation, because no matter how spectacularly he garners the victory and no matter how efficient he might appear to be, he will never get the recognition he deserves if he continues on this path of fighting 145-pound fighters, including a renowned name like Ilia Topuria.
You know, Ilia Topuria is talking about coming to 155, and you're like, I'm tired of these little people coming up to fight me.
That makes sense. Give the chance third time from the same guy. Okay, I beat the Volkanovski twice. People still say you beat small guy.
Yeah.
He's not your weight division. If I beat Topuria, it's gonna be the same. Everybody gonna talk same.
So, according to Islam, the best strategy that he can employ at this point is to focus on his own career rather than looking out for other fighters and providing them opportunities that will ultimately hinder his own path to greatness. Though Islam appeared quite reluctant about the idea of this fight and shared his plans of moving up for more belts, many fans and experts believe that if an appropriate offer is made by the UFC under the right stipulations, there is a huge chance that Islam and his team might accept this offer, especially considering how this potential fight seems to be under Dana's radar of next possible investments.
If I go up, takes a second belt, it's gonna be in the future, you know. I just have same dream.
Yeah.
I want to be double champ. I want to be like you know.
Reporting on this fight and the entire situation surrounding Ilia's decision to vacate his UFC featherweight title, prominent social media personality and combat reporter Ariel Helwani explained the reasoning behind this allegedly abrupt and out-of-the-blue decision made by Ilia and his team. According to the statements given by all the parties involved in these decisions, Ariel deduced that there could have been countless reasons that might have propelled Ilia to make this decision, such as the probability of getting more eminence in the sport, as well as the tremendous difficulty that he has been facing in cutting weight in the last couple of months, a fact that has been confirmed by Ilia's trainers and close allies.
Number one, my understanding is the UFC isn't a fan of this right now. They're not a huge fan of champion versus champion and one guy keeps the belt. If only because they got a lot of pay-per-views to fill. They're trying to put on, you know, the most stacked cards with the most title fights, and they don't like holding up divisions. That has often been their stance, which has been confirmed today by his manager Malki Kawa. The weight cuts were getting really hard. The weight cuts were really getting hard. He's fought at 155. He's scored wins at 155. And he just wants to fight at 155.
During his analysis while addressing the claims that these statements were not something that was being talked about before and came out of nowhere, Ariel explained that this might not be true because even some months before, Ilia was hinting at this potential move up to 155 pounds. But at that time, many people in the industry, including some of the most eminent names, were mocking this idea and openly criticized this move, explaining that these comments passed off by Ilia are nothing but a cheap attempt at garnering more publicity. But eventually, after the recent confirmations given by the UFC officials, everyone has realized that this was Ilia's intention all along.
So I think some of us owe Ilia Topuria an apology, because I think when he was talking about this a month or two ago, we were like, come on, man, you only defended the title once. There are still some fights out there. There's the rematch against Volkanovski. There's a Diego Lopez fight. On and on it goes. You're not going to really move up. You're not going to vacate the title. And he was telling the truth.
Being a part of the internal MMA circles, Ariel revealed that the fight between Ilia and Islam is very much near completion, and that the tentative dates are being negotiated right now among the teams, with the most probable date being somewhere near the International Fight Week or somewhere in June. However, refraining from issuing any definitive statement on this particular matter given the strict regulations, Ariel stated that the dates will most probably be released by Dana in the upcoming days after the final official procedures are dealt with.
There's a hope that it could happen as soon as International Fight Week. That's not 100%. That's probably the reason why they didn't announce it yesterday. It could happen later in the year. There's a ton more pay-per-views post-June. What is it, the 28th? There's one in mid to late July, then there's August, and of course there's Abu Dhabi in October. It feels International Fight Week worthy, if you ask me. This feels like a gigantic fight, a super fight, a featherweight champion moving up to fight the best lightweight in the world. And
further adding to his opinion regarding this rather intricate matchup, Ariel divulged some other fights that can be possible for the fighters to participate in if this deal does not come through due to some unfortunate reasons. However, the best fight in every scenario will be the bout between Islam and Ilia, given the tense history that the two fighters have shared over the course of their careers, aching with the fact that both of them are in the most optimal conditions of their careers, which adds another layer of depth to this potential fight, which is not only going to earn a lot of money due to its popularity among the fans, but also for the fact that it will also provide the fighters with an opportunity to out an end to this hostility once and for all.
I have so many mixed emotions with all these announcements. Bummed for Volk, happy he's still getting a title fight, happy for Diego Lopez, what a story. Excited for Ilia Topuria, excited for the opportunity, and if I'm being honest, Ilia versus Islam interests me a lot more right now than Islam versus Charles too. Am I crazy?
No.
We saw it. I don't think we were going to see a different result. This is fresh. This is fun. This feels special.
Somewhat similar to the points raised by Ariel and other prominent analysts, Islam's trainer and coach Javier Mendez explained that even though nothing definitive has yet been decided by either party, there is a huge chance that this fight will be the next big event that will be orchestrated following the cryptic hints that are being made by both Dana and other officials at UFC. While mentioning the thoughts shared by Islam and his team on this matter, Javier explained that they are not really fazed by the idea of this fight, because even though Islam wants to focus on more challenging fights, if an opportunity is presented before him, then he will never let it go, and will make sure that he accepts the challenge like the fierce pound-for-pound warrior that he is.
You know, if he can beat Michael Chandler, like you're saying, in impressive fashion, yeah, his name needs to be deserving, because again, it's all about eyeballs, and we all know Paddy the Baddy draws. People want to see him, so he has a big say in what's going to happen as he is successful in his next fight. So yes, I mean, you're giving me a lot of interesting scenarios here that I'm looking, wow. So let's see what happens, but I did read where Dana said he's working on that fight. So for me, I'm not going to say that fight's made just based on Dana said we're working on it. That's not done.
During his interview, Javar also highlighted all the statements that are being issued by countless media personalities regarding the training regime that Islam will implement in such a short amount of time in order to prepare for a highly competitive and strenuous fight against Ilia. Dismissing these comments, Javier expressed his confidence in his fighter's abilities, while stating that even though he admits that Ilia is an excellent fighter capable of marvelous achievements when it comes to MMA, there is no fighter in the current era who can outclass Islam, especially considering how he is always in optimal condition, and that he only really requires a short notice of 2 months to get prepared to take on any fighter, no matter how strong or adept they might be in the eyes of the public.
Yeah, of course. I mean, anybody. I mean, all Islam needs is 2 months to prepare for anybody. He's not gonna care who he fights. You make 155, we all have the same attitude. We fight, you pay us, this is who you're offering. He's not going to say no. If that's who they offer, that's who's been worked out, is who's on the table for Islam. That's what Islam's going to do. That's just the way he is. He's a true warrior. He's not somebody that's going to say, no, give me somebody else. No, he's going to fight. That's the way it is. We're a champion. We're number one for a reason. We're not supposed to reject any person they throw in front of you. You know, he will do what a champion's supposed to do.
Just like Islam and Khabib, another person who seems to be against the idea of this fight in general is none other than Chael Sonnen, who also thinks that this continued gimmick of utilizing Islam as a puppet for the introduction of a 145-pounder champion to the lightweight division is not only getting old and tedious for the fans, but it has also started to get on the nerves of countless people, including himself. Even though there is nothing potentially wrong with moving up in weight class in the search of a better fight, you cannot just expect to fight against the biggest name in the lightweight division before even participating in other bouts.
Islam has already done the favor to the 45-pounders.
Questioning the authenticity of these continuous callouts made by Topuria and his team, Chael stated that after looking at the entire situation, it gets even more absurd because based on all the comments that both Islama and Ilia have made in the last couple of months, it appears as if there is nothing personal going on between the fighters, which might have propelled Ilia to come at him with such intensity that he continues on to take his name in every interview. Another factor that the veteran fighter brought up was how the reason that Ilia has given regarding not being able to make weight any longer is also a little shady, because looking at Ilia, he seems to be the ultimate specimen in the featherweight division, so for him to abandon his division in the pursuit of a single fight against a nonchalant fighter like Islam raises a lot of questions that need to be answered in the upcoming days.
None of those things are accurate. Topuria is a perfect size. Featherweight, as a matter of fact, and he doesn't have anything personal with Islam, and we're not going to make that ask of Islam 3 times. But what is going on with Ilia Topuria? I mean, I think that's a fair question too. Why is every time I see his name, he's attached to Islam? Nobody wants to see the fight. Nobody's encouraging that fight. And Topuria won't stop bringing up the fight.
Chael also added on the fact that just a few days ago, a potential rematch between Ilia and Volkanovski was being discussed by the media as well as the officials. So what really transpired behind the scenes that propelled Ilia to change his decision and not wait around in his division for more suitable fights, rather than jumping to the lightweight division to fight someone who is least interested about accepting this challenge?
Is there nobody at 145? Somewhere we were told that it was going to be Volkanovski, but that was after Lopez had called out Volk and even had information that it was going to be an interim championship fight, and that was resisted by you guys. You're going, hey, Lopez should be going in right now, not the guy that got woken up in his last 2. Like, I understand all of these things, but we were still told it's going to be that. So where's the fight?
So in the end, what are your thoughts on this potential fight? And what do you guys think about all these callouts that Ilia has been making in the last couple of days? Do you think that this fight between Islam and Ilia is good, or do you think it will affect both fighters' professional careers in the long run? Make sure to tell us about your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to our channel.